Welcome to the HR Kyle podcast, your go-to source for insightful discussions on leadership, job searching, and all things human resources. I'm your host, HR Kyle, and each week we dive deep into topics relevant to professionals seeking to elevate their careers and organizations. Whether you're a seasoned leader, a job seeker navigating the ever-changing landscape of employment, or an enthusiast looking to stay ahead of the curve, this is the podcast for you. Join me as we explore practical strategies, share expert insights, and engage in meaningful conversations that empower you to succeed in today's dynamic workplace. So, adjust your headphones and let's dive in. Hello and welcome to this edition of the HR Kyle podcast. And I'm your host, HR Kyle. I'm excited about this episode. Well, yeah, I know. I'm excited about all of them, but we're trying something a little different for this one, though. My guest will be spending the entire episode with me. Now, in this episode, we're going to explore the transformative role of technology in HR with a special guest. She's the Chief Product Officer of one of the leading HR tech companies in the world. She'll be sharing her career journey, insights on the current state of technology in HR, key considerations for HR professionals, and her vision for the future of tech in our industry. Now, tune in for invaluable perspectives and stay ahead in the ever-evolving HR landscape. But first, we just need to take a quick break. Otherwise, we'll be right back. Greetings, I'm Kyle Smith, and I'm here to offer you a speaking experience that goes beyond the ordinary. With a rich background in leadership, HR, and personal development, I bring a unique blend of expertise and passion to every presentation. Whether it's Leadership Unleashed, well-being at work, or career mastery, I delve into topics that empower individuals and organizations to reach their fullest potential. What sets me apart? Proven expertise, an engaging delivery style, and actionable insights that drive positive change. But here's the kicker. I don't just offer a one-size-fits-all approach. I customize my content to meet the specific needs and goals of your event. So let's elevate your event together. Contact me now to reserve your date and unlock the full potential of your audience and organization. Don't miss out on the opportunity to inspire greatness. Visit hrkyle.com today. Okay, we're back to the HR Kyle podcast, and today I'm joined by Poornima Farrar. She's the Chief Product Officer for Rival, one of the leading HR technology companies in the world. Poornima, welcome to the HR Kyle podcast.
Hi, Kyle. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you, and I'm so glad you could join us for an entire episode today. Poornima, first, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, happy to. So as you mentioned, I'm the Chief Product Officer at Rival. We are an HR tech company that spans the entire journey from sourcing through recruiting, onboarding, learning, and performance. In other words, we stay throughout the journey with our HR practitioners. I came by way of HR from product management and product roles at various companies over the last 15 years. So tons of experience in hypergrowth organizations, really thinking about innovation and figuring out how to make our customers successful.
Well, we're excited to have you on here tonight and just to catch all the insight that you'll be sharing with our listeners. Well, Poornima, your career journey is certainly one of those that isn't linear by any stretch. And it feels like I talk about that with every guest in every episode, that their career journey is one of those that has a lot of twists and turns. And certainly yours is no different. Your bachelor's is in computer science with minors in international business and Spanish. But then your PhD is in linguistics. Now, as we sit here, you're Chief Product Officer for one of the premier HR software companies in the world. But how did you get to this point?
Yeah, that's a great question, and you've done your homework on my career. I started off early on really thinking about the combination of languages and technology, and it was really sparked by thinking of language, if you will, as a skill, which when you're growing up in an Indian culture, it's not common, if you will, because you're typically growing up with a lot of languages around you. It's very common to be speaking multiple languages. But really taking Spanish sparked an interest in me in terms of thinking about, how languages can open up brand new worlds for you. And as I continued along my academic journey, it became more and more clear that being able to do that from a scientific discipline perspective offered a lens into thinking about our world in terms of data and analytics and research. And so my PhD in linguistics was really a combination of kind of bringing together the languages aspect, the technology aspect, as well as then how we interface with the world in terms of the volume of communication that we produce and how we structure it in terms of thinking about the world. And somehow all of that, believe it or not, translated very well into product management. So as I headed into the tech industry after my PhD, what I found was that product roles often are about looking at data, looking at analysis, and then making sense of the world, not just from that perspective, but also from looking at the big picture of where an industry is headed, what customers are thinking about, and how to translate that into technology. So for some reason, my early career actually helped me quite a bit in terms of building out a journey across the board for a successful journey on data products at hyper growth companies like Alteryx, where I was fortunate to be part of Series B through IPO, and then moving into HR tech at Workday, where I was part of their machine learning product management leadership team, and then from there into Salesforce, and now Rival.
Wonderful. And I appreciate you sharing your story, and especially some of the insight into how your background has really come together to enhance your careers. And one of the things that stuck out to me is just as we learn different languages, and I'm curious if this is what you've experienced, we're more conscious of the nuances that exist in communication. And if so, do you find that to be useful in your work now?
Absolutely. I think that our ability to really think about how what we're saying translate into what we actually mean can be very powerful in terms of, thinking about what the software needs to do. Put differently, often we'll hear customers tell us something that they don't like, but really what they're saying, and they'll try to come up with a solution for us, but really learning more about their pain point. Why does it matter? Kind of going into the semantics of the why can be very helpful in terms of then moving into the syntax, right? The structure of what we should do. So I find myself inadvertently having been trained very well, thanks to my training in linguistics and bringing that, as you said, knowledge of how to perceive the worldview into building a career in product leadership.
Wonderful. And I appreciate the clarity on that, Poornima. Now, your company, which we talked about, is Rival. And as we've said a couple of times, they're one of the leading providers of technology to the HR world. Now, to most of us, these are exciting times with the introduction of so many new technologies to HR. But we also know there are some HR professionals who are concerned that all of this technology is making HR much less personal. What would you say to those individuals?
It's a great question. And Rival has a pretty wonderful history of thinking deeply about customer and user experience and about automating parts of the HR world that can really be helped by the technology, so that the focus on the personal nature of HR can remain there. And we first started off in this world 20 years ago when we were really thinking about onboarding deeply and taking, if you will, the manual steps of onboarding and bringing that into a digitized world. Since then, obviously, we've gone through a significant transformation, and where we are today is really about looking at, automating every step that could result in taking HR's time away from focusing on what matters most, i.e., the employees in an organization, helping plan the future of the organization, building resiliency into the systems. And we often find that our customers talk about how they leverage Rival in order to, both develop their processes at scale and then leverage the time savings that they've had to give back to their organizations. So, put differently, I completely understand the concerns that one might have in terms of technology making HR less personal, but we view it more as, a vehicle for HR to have more time back so that the time savings can then be leveraged in terms of the work that truly matters in the organization.
Poornima, and a wonderful explanation. And the way I would see it is you're removing a lot of the barriers that may exist to actually spending more time with current employees, with potential candidates, and so on. And on top of that, you're looking to enhance how that communication and those interactions take place.
Absolutely. You said it really well. When we think about, the volume of applications going up in this current market, we hear from so many recruiters how hard it is for them to be able to get back to every applicant. Now, if on top of that, they also have to look at collecting analytics, looking at metrics, building talent pools, those are all things that technology can help with. And if we were to do that, just to, as you said, being able to take that time savings and then apply it back to enhancing the candidate experience is a win-win on both sides.
So very true. And in my work, I actually work with both sides. Of course, I work in HR. I also work with a lot of HR professionals to enhance their work. But on top of that, I work with candidates as well. And you hit the nail right on the head. One of the biggest complaints that I hear is from candidates, HR doesn't get back to me. I can't get in touch with someone. And then from the HR side, I hear the frustration of, gosh, I wish I had time to get back to candidates. So it sounds like the way you're trying to use the technology, and in fact, the way you are, is to help both sides come together a little bit more effectively than what we're currently doing.
For sure. And the more we think about this changing nature of work, it extends across the board, support cases and or finding help when someone gets stuck in the system, thinking about how to get the analytics at your fingertips. And every one of these things are essentially ways in which the work can slow down if the technology isn't there right away to meet you. And so for us at Rival, we really think about how we can be leveraging technology to amplify the work that an individual is doing.
And I also hear making us more effective as HR professionals with data, which so often we tend to lack data because so often, again, we're at the mercy of what the system can provide. So as I listen to you describe the systems and so on that that exist now or that you're working on, a big part of it is providing us as HR professionals more data so that we can be effective in our work.
Absolutely. And this is, a topic near and dear to my heart because I've spent so much time between data analytic products and people management software, right? So I see the common patterns across both of them. And I think at the end of the day, when we think about the data that is associated with people, one expects that you have to have it in a walled garden. In other words, if it's not in the same system, you can't actually access the data. However, that's kind of a misnomer. And if anything, by thinking about technology that way, we can invest in pretty heavy tools, but then not necessarily be very effective at looking at the full picture. So at Rival, we're really thinking about how we can give the data frameworks a boost by building the right analytic capabilities on top of it so that our customers can quickly get into the right insights by leveraging the dashboards, by building their own, by having access to the data as they see fit, and then really scaling from there.
Well, you're speaking our language from an HR perspective, because that's exactly what we're looking for. Just not only the access, but ensuring that we have data that we understand and we're using effectively. And then number 3, that it's easy to access. So you've checked all the boxes relative to what the HR professional is looking for, Poornima.
That's great. That's great to hear.
Well, folks, you're listening to the HR Kyle podcast, and I'm your host, HR Kyle, and I'm speaking with Poornima Farrar. She's the Chief Product Officer for Rival, one of the world's leading HR technology firms. And we need to take a quick break, but stay with us, because when we come back, we're going to continue with our discussion with Poornima, including exploring the important topic of artificial intelligence, also how technology is impacting the candidate experience, and then finally, what she sees coming in the future. But we'll be right back. Are you a business owner looking to build a thriving team? Or perhaps a job seeker on a quest for your dream career? Look no further than HR Kyle. HR Kyle is your trusted partner for all things human resources. We're not just about services, we're about success. For businesses, HR Kyle offers tailored HR solutions from talent acquisition to compliance support. We're here to help your team flourish. And for the job seekers, HR Kyle provides personalized career guidance and direction that only a seasoned HR professional can offer. We'll help you find that perfect job match. Don't settle for less. Choose HR Kyle and unlock success today. Visit us at www.hrkyle.com. HR Kyle, unlocking potential, empowering careers, transforming business.
Are you stuck in a job you hate? Dreaming of a career that excites you? It's time to turn those dreams into reality with Get the Job You Love by Kyle Patrick Smith, also known as HR Kyle. Discover proven strategies to land your dream job, master interviews, and stand out from the crowd. Packed with expert advice and practical tips, Get the Job You Love is your ultimate guide to career success. Available now on Amazon and other online retailers. Don't wait. Start your journey to a fulfilling career today. Get the job you love, because you deserve a job you love.
Okay, we're back, and we're going to continue with our discussion with Poornima, and I hope you enjoyed that break. Poornima, Rival's platform is built on artificial intelligence technology. How are you using AI in such a way to make the technology better without taking away that human connection that's at the heart, basically, of human resources?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I am bullish about innovation that can really help advance our productivity and enhance our engagement. And I see opportunities with AI, but I also see a lot of hype around this. So, for me and my team, it is so important to stay on the right set of use cases and the right way in which we're approaching the AI journey, if you will. And so if we think about that, some of the ways in which we're really building AI is first, really having that be native to the system. So in that sense, finding ways in which we can reduce bias via AI. So one of the things that comes up often is the inability to really look at all the candidates that are out there, being able to build talent pools effectively, being able to do unbiased sourcing, unbiased hiring. So leveraging AI to really improve the recruitment process is something that we're really focused on. Another scenario is really thinking about AI in terms of identifying ways to take the knowledge that we have about an organization and incorporating that in the messaging that we're creating, and giving the power to the humans in the loop to make adjustments. One example of that could be, crafting job descriptions that take company values into account, or crafting recruitment marketing messages that are taking the organizational goals as well as the individual's personal experience into account. We're also focused on chat-based assistants to really simplify, the Q&A that often HR teams have to handle. And each of these use cases that I mentioned are focused on, engagement, on productivity, as well as automation at scale for low-level tasks that often take up a lot of time, such as, handling repeated support questions, where we can give some time back.
So put another way, Poornima, the biggest concerns with AI has been this fear of bias, making it less about the company, and then finally less connection to the candidate. But what I'm hearing you're saying is you're using AI actually in the opposite way, to reduce bias, to make it more about the company, and to enhance the connections.
That's right. And it's very important for us to kind of flip that, if you will, because often a lot of these scenarios are being built because people are saying, "Oh, my recruiter doesn't have time." What we hear from HR practitioners is it's not so much about not having time; it's about putting time in the right areas. So spending the time to craft, a thoughtful message, making sure that the entire talent pool, in our case, we've really, we're the first ATS in the market to have 700 million passive candidates in our talent pool. Being able to take that into account and then having the right tools to reduce bias, we see those as ways in which AI can really come in and create a system where folks feel comfortable and excited about the work they're doing, as opposed to taking the fun out of the core pieces and then driving it in a different direction.
Well, and I think the other beauty about what you're saying is you're using the technology to make HR professionals actually look better, not only to candidates, but within their own organization.
Well, that's the goal. Yes. And there is so much more we have planned here. I think when we are really, we are barely scratching the surface of the potential in AI. For example, when we think about the entire onboarding journey and the overall workflow automation, there are so many possibilities in terms of what AI can do there, and we've got some exciting stuff planned in our roadmap.
And that leads well into my next question, Poornima. How do you see the technology your team's developing now enhancing the work we do in HR, and just as importantly, the experience that our candidates and employees receive?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when we're focused on the work that our team is doing, it's all about listening to the customers and thinking about the role that HR is playing. It's obviously changed and shifted a lot in the last decade. HR has a bigger role to play in planning and analytics for an organization. There's also a lot more focus on building out the organizational effectiveness in terms of learning and development, in terms of the understanding of skills and as well as the gaps in skills. So for us, when we're thinking about the technology that we build, it always anchors back to what is the role of HR in today's world, and then how are we actually scaling the experience layer. We talked a little bit about some of the other pieces, but I'll give you two core examples that are focused on candidates. One of the key things we hear from candidates is, and this comes from from the recruiters that we support, do not make my candidates wander around an application process. The more clicks they have, the more accounts they have to create, the more drop-offs we see. So really building a robust, streamlined application process via Rival Recruit has been a key way in which many of our customers have been able to, enhance the candidate experience and also ensure that they have a large volume of applicants coming in the door. So that's kind of on the front end. But when we think about the offer stage, very often it can be a step that requires a lot of back and forth. We also see, trends now of folks maybe dropping off during the offer stage or even accepting the offer stage, but not necessarily feeling connected to the organization. And so for us, the work that we've really done there is build out a very robust set of candidate to employee transition experience that is focused on giving them a way to really feel like they're part of the company pre-day one. So a portal-based experience that gives them a welcome message, documentation, details on culture, videos, various step-by-step tasks, journeys on learning, performance, and so forth, so that they can feel like they're embedded in the organization from before day one. And what we see is that the likelihood of attrition drops significantly because of the employee engagement that we are creating from that perspective. So those are a couple of examples of how, the tech our team is developing is really focused on the experience layer for the candidates as well as the employees.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because a couple of things that I would draw from there are things that I've talked with my talent acquisition teams about, as well as clients that I work with. And it's a couple of things. One, as an employer, we need to be easy to do business with, up to and including, as you shared, that application process. If you're asking someone to submit a resume and then you're asking them to go through an application, we know for a fact that we lose candidates there, because it's a lot of extra steps that they feel in their mind they've already done. So it sounds like you've worked hard to get past that hurdle. And then the other thing that really is magic to my ears, again, talk to my teams about this frequently, that first day of employment starts the minute that candidate accepts the offer. And we're at risk of losing them before they ever walk in the door. So we want to begin to get them excited about the experience of joining with us. And then that carries through really until their first 90 days, because we know at any point there, we've got a risk of losing that candidate. Maybe it's buyer's remorse. Maybe they haven't been made to feel as welcome. Maybe they don't feel up to speed coming into the office that first day. There's any number of reasons. But again, it sounds like your technology is helping us HR professionals to make sure that we not only don't lose the candidate, but we keep them engaged so they're excited about the decision they've made.
Absolutely. And, I think the way you put it is perfect. The amount of engagement that we see throughout an employee's career in an organization really starts in those first 90 days. Our onboarding experience actually in some companies scales all the way up to a year. The other thing we see is also the different types of onboarding that folks see. For example, M&A is super common use case for us. If you are, merging with another company, often you have a set of tasks that can be very similar to a new hire experience. You want to feel welcomed. You want to know about the policies. You want to know about the new systems. You want to understand, how to set up support cases. You want to know who your buddies are, who your mentors could be. You maybe even want to, fill out a survey on what's worked well, what can be improved. You want to learn about your, any management changes that might be taking place. And so our system's ability to be really able to flexibly handle all of that has been a massive differentiator for us in this industry and in this space to really, help think of use cases that are often set aside, if you will, other applications.
No question. There's no question about that. Well, Poornima, we'll end on this next question. And I'd like you to look ahead a little bit, because I know you've got a lot of visibility to this, to the things Rival's working on. And in a broad sense, what can we expect to see with HR technology in the next 5 years?
Oh, yeah, that's such a great question. I think you're going to see more personalization, more automation. They're going to go hand in hand. I think you're going to see the tasks today getting more and more automated. In companies at scale, we see hundreds of tasks when a new hire is coming on board, or when a system is being brought live in order to think about learning objectives or development objectives. I think a lot of those tasks are really going to grow and scale into a way in which the HR systems will be prompting individuals, as opposed to today where the individuals are prompting the HR systems. So I think that the personalization layer is going to become more capable of handling what's needed in an employee's life cycle within the company. The other thing I think that'll also be interesting is to see how our systems start to speak to each other better. I would love to see, the ability for an employee's journey as they go from as they go across different organizations, to really be able to carry their records, carry their organizational history, their experience and everything else along with them. That is something that we don't necessarily do a good job of in HR tech today. And because it's more focused on the companies as opposed to the employees. But I think that as we continue to be more fluid with our work, I imagine that our tech will grow to meet that fluidity.
And I appreciate that insight into where we're heading. Folks, I've gotten to know Poornima over the last few weeks, and one thing that stood out to me in the discussions that her and I have had is a couple of things, and most importantly, just how her work and her leadership there at Rival is really focused on building technologies and developing technologies that are both HR and candidate focused. And I think that came out loud and clear in this discussion today. And if you're not, or if you haven't been excited about the future of HR tech, I'm hoping, and I got a feeling that tonight's discussion helped you along with that a little bit. But Poornima, I really want to thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing your insight and guidance and just your view to the future.
My pleasure. It's been great to talk to you as well, Kyle. I'm very excited for the future of HR tech, and I really appreciate everything you're doing to inform us of where this journey can go.
Well, wonderful, Poornima. Thank you so much. Folks, sadly, that's all the time that we have together as well. And I hope this episode has put you in a much better position in a mindset relative to HR technology. As always, I want to thank you for tuning in. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please like and follow so you don't miss the next edition. But until next time, this is HR Kyle saying, stay focused, stay grounded, and of course, stay tuned. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of the HR Kyle podcast. We hope you found our discussion valuable and filled with insights that you can apply in your professional journey. Whether you're a business leader aiming to foster a thriving workplace or a job seeker looking to carve out your own path, remember that HR Kyle is the compass that can guide you towards success. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share it with your network. We're committed to being your trusted source for HR wisdom, and we look forward to having you back with us for our next episode. Remember, in the world of HR and professional growth, there's always room for progress. Be sure to visit our website at hrkyle.com. That's hrkyle.com to learn more about how we can help you meet your business and professional goals. So until next time, this is HR Kyle signing off. Stay motivated, stay informed, and keep reaching for those career goals. Music provided by bensound.com. That's bensound.com.